Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Friendly Differences podcast. It's Saturday as usual, 8 p.m. UK time, 12 noon Pacific, and me and Solid are just going to jump on tonight. We have no guest planned, but it does mean that there is going to be at least four other seats for you guys to possibly jump on if you feel like you can add anything to the conversation or if you just want to chat with us. This week has been eventful. Me and Solid's had our disagreements as always, but I think this week in particular, we have had a fair few. Um, a lot on Solid show, which we can plug right now. Solid, plug your show because this week has probably been one of my most favorite shows. All four nights, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all four shows were up my street. If you can remind the listeners and tell them a little bit about your show.
You know, I don't even remember some of the shows that
I know.
we've done. So I'm actually going to. So guys, give me a minute here, and I'm going to tell you the shows that I did.
That'll give
Okay,
me a minute
so
to share the show.
okay, so my show is my turn to talk. I'm on Podbean 1 p.m. Pacific time, and Baa is on there practically every day. But the show that I did was mentally ill people. I did Overcome by Sorrow, and standard of care. Has healthcare failed, and you're invading my space. Thursday shows are supposed to be a little bit more lighthearted, whatever, but basically about people invading space. But I think the show that well, I don't know. Are you mainly talking about the Overcome by Sorrow? Because that's where we were talking about. That's when we got into the victim statement,
Yeah,
and we
no,
got
but I
into
also
that one.
I really preferred the one about the
The
healthcare.
standard of care. Okay, the
Yeah,
healthcare system.
that's a
Okay.
show I think we could incorporate into Friendly Differences for
Yes.
sure, and definitely I would be wanting to do it on my podcast as well because
Okay.
not only can you get into like why it's declining and all that, but you could also talk about what you feel would be best going forward and all that. It is a really good topic. It's one that I've learned a little bit about over the years, and especially because I'm from the UK and we've got socialized healthcare, and you guys have got privatized healthcare, and it's good to go back and forth and see the differences and what's better and.
Okay, and and guys, who's ever listening out there, if you listen to our shows on on um a repeat or however you call it on the recording, whatever. Again, we like the fact that we're getting views. That's great. Our viewership has gone up. My viewership on my shows has gone up, and I thank you. And I'm actually going to throw a plug out to Jester, because both on my show and on Friendly Differences, I truly believe that a lot of my viewership is coming from Jester and his Doomsday podcast. So if it is, thank you. Thank you. And I truly mean that. But if you guys could leave comments, um, and it's interesting because when I look at other people's YouTubes and I see that they have all these views, but still a lot of people don't have comments. And and it's just interesting to me, that people don't. So if you guys could leave comments, that would be really great. And Beans and Winnie is here. So is that Spanky? Spanky, it is Spanky, because Scooter has his other sign on. So welcome. He says on the download. So he says he watches it on the download. If you guys could just leave comments, and you know, I'm not asking for you all to gush over us or anything. We truly want to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Because Baa and I, oh, it is Scooter. Okay, it is Scooter. So welcome, Scooter. And Scooter, just so you know, a couple of weeks ago, Baa asked me what my favorite show was, and it was you. And Tuttles was in the chat, so I had to kind of diss Tuttles to tell you to say that I offloaded Spanky. Okay, so but if you guys could just give us, some comments and say something, because we just want to know that we're doing something right, and also just to know what you guys think. So, but that the healthcare show, I wasn't sure. I mean, every show that I do, I'm not sure how much traction that I get. Especially sometimes when I get people on the panel who I know are non-talkers,
Yeah.
and you're kind of talking to yourself, whatever.
Yeah.
But and sometimes even the non-talkers, they don't always put stuff in the chat. But
Mhm.
for the healthcare the show that we did Thursday, everybody had something to say. Everyone, you both in the chat and on the panel. So and I'm surprised that was one of your that you enjoyed that one more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and everyone knows I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think that goes into that as well because of the whole. I mean, the obvious one is the cancer cure. I think I would say there are certain things in life that we all have a little bit of a conspiracy theorist in us. Even my granny, you'll go up there. I'll go up there a week, once a month, or even throughout my life, and you talk about something will flash up on the news and it'll be, oh, this famous person's got cancer, and you'll hear people saying, yeah, but they've got the money, so they'll beat it. And that's the kind of comments that, now that I am a conspiracy theorist, I look back and I go, we've all got it in us to some degree. We all know politicians are corrupt, and they don't pay tax, and is there a cure for cancer that they're suppressing? Little comments like that even like me and you talking the other, probably it was last month, about the stuff that they're putting in our water and our food, the GMOs and all that. That's a huge, like, most people would agree with that. There's not much people would push back and say that's rubbish. But yet, I mean, obviously this is, and we don't need to go down this route, but I say to those people, take that further, go into why and what they're actually putting in our food, and look at the deals and where the money's changing hands. And that's the things that conspiracy theorists do, and come out with the conclusions, and it's the conclusions that often get people wound up. But even to touch on your, I think it was Monday show you did was good, which was
We
talking
did
about
mentally ill.
the mentally ill,
Yeah.
and then we got into like the uh, what is it that kids are often getting diagnosed with again, the
Oh,
ADHD.
the ADHD and the PTSD.
Yeah, so I mean that as well opened up a great conversation where, and this could be a good segue into what we're gonna maybe discuss tonight, not too much in depth. But I said this on my live. I did a live yesterday, and I said that throughout mine and your relationship, we do often disagree, but I always feel shortchanged because I can never work out where we disagree. It's never like we get to the bottom, and on
I
that show.
I think you just answered the question why, but go ahead and finish. Go ahead and
Yeah,
finish.
on that show, that is the best. Like, I felt I came off that show, and although we had disagreed, I felt, was it comforted, or I just felt like complete, because we actually worked out where we disagreed on that subject, which was that I believe that people with mental, I wouldn't say mental illnesses, because that's more like, if they need medication for it and all. I'm talking about, you know, the behavioral things like jealousy and stalkers and serial killers and like things. I believe that they're learned behavior, and there's loads of issues why. And I know we kind of focused on even just being brought up by single parents can affect us in certain ways, and you kind of push back on that. But the part I'm going to focus on is that more of the you're more open to that babies can be born wired up wrong. I'm paraphrasing, but basically could be born
No, no,
evil.
I think that some people are born bad. I do.
Yeah. And I
So
think that when a baby comes out the womb and is put in that incubator, they are the most pure, beautiful, innocent things. And all of the stuff that turns them into serial killers are media, behavior. It's like we're that's why I know there might be people on that believe that we came from monkeys, and I think that is the only part where I'll kind of agree, because it's like monkey say, monkey do. That's the saying that we've kind of learned to, and I think that's how humans are. We learn and we watch and we observe, and then we do. And that's where I think that some of these serial killers and people with issues in relationships, domestic abusers, they've learned it from their childhood, or the media, or their friends, or some other place. So
but you know what, Vi, you just when you said when you said that you wish that people would take it further, with the whole food thing, you wish people would take it further. And that's where I think you just answered the question where we disagree.
Mm.
Um, because where you want people to take things further there, with me, and we were just talking about this with the whole facts things and everything. I want to take it further. I want to know where this stuff is coming from before I'm going to say that, okay, this is true or this isn't true, whatever. I want to know. So, the way you are with situations like that, I'm like that when it comes to facts and data. And I've always been like that. It's like, just don't throw some numbers up in front of my face and say, okay, well, I went to the Wall Street Journal or I went here and 50% of people, well, when you say 50%, was it even 25 and 25? Or was it 45 and 5? I
Yeah.
mean, and that's why I think that when at least in the US, I'm assuming that they do it in the UK, when they talk about exit polls and they say, well, this person's up by, 10 points, this person's down, down by 4.
Mhm.
Okay. And then they say, well, give or take 2 on either side. Okay,
Yeah.
I can give the give or take the 2 on either side. But if I go to a polling place and it's in a blue area,
Mhm.
most of the people coming out, assuming, are going to say they voted for the blue person. If I go to a red area and I take
Yeah.
a poll, so then but I can't go to just one and come back
Yeah.
and say, well, this person, well, no, it's not fair. Now, if you put both blue and red people, the same amount of blue, the same amount of red people, or the independent people in the same polling place and ask those same amount of people, I think those polls would come out different. So that's
Mm.
when I say I look at the whole. So
Yeah.
I hope that explains more, whatever. But people who think that I'm a little crazy or that, she doesn't want to deal with facts, because I've heard that all the time. Yes, I do. But I
Yeah.
want to know, tell me where those facts are coming from. Tell me how you are getting them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even the stats, it's like, if you're doing more things to one person and not another, or you're letting your son do this, but you're not letting your daughter do this, whatever,
Mhm.
that's not going to be fair. And if
Yeah.
you want to come out and say, well, my son thinks this and my daughter thinks that, well, your daughter never gets a chance to do it. So how can she have an input in what it is?
Mhm.
So, and then I want to address what Scooter said. He said people are getting social media illness.
Mhm. Yeah.
The
Social
internet.
media is like polarizing people, and it's
It is. It
like
is.
making us like the extreme at both ends rather than realizing how close we are together. An expression I would use, I heard this a while ago, and I genuinely believe that 99% of people on this planet just want to go to work, earn money, go out for a few meals a week or whatever, go out and treat themselves to a restaurant meal with their wife or the kids, whatever, and go a couple of holidays a year, and that is it. They don't want to be bothered. They just want that. So then when you hear about all this division and all that, it's like I that's why I always want people to realize it's not that both, we're being divided down the middle, especially America is very polarized down the middle, 50-50, I would say. But if you, like I said to you when I first met you, if me and you met in a bar or somewhere, we would have the same effect like we do now, because there's not the same. The media would have you believe that me and you would be at each other's throats and killing each other, but it's just not the case. People are not. But I think it's getting worse because of something that I hate, which is people don't chat. They don't talk about serious stuff anymore. It's if you bring
That's
up.
because people are afraid to talk about it and they feel uncomfortable. And that's another reason why I wanted to do this show with you. That's another reason why I do the show that I do, and I have had the topics that I have.
Yeah.
You have to put it out there. And who knows, with that mental illness show, we could help somebody. If it just helped one person, and I'm not saying change anybody's mind or anything. I'm just saying if it helps somebody to do whatever.
Yeah.
So let me ask this: what Scooter says? It's the new mental illness.
Mhm.
Do you think that social media should be classified as a mental illness?
Um,
The reason why I asked that, and I know we were talking about the whole people who are who are overweight and everything
mhm,
in America about 10 years ago, probably even longer than that, but I want to say at least 10 years ago, they were talking about obesity being and Scooter saying yes, yes on the mental illness. They were talking about obesity being classified as a disability, and they came back and they said no. You know, the only way that you're have obesity as a disability is if um, it's a medical issue. You have a thyroid problem, or you know something that's medical. Because then you would have people who are just overweight applying for disability or saying this and this and this, and then you know you go to work and you know this isn't right and you can sue, you know, whatever. So the same thing for mental illness. Should social media be considered a mental illness? Because then wouldn't people take advantage? Oh well, I went and I killed this person because of social
yeah,
media, as opposed to you killed them just because you didn't like them.
yeah,
You know, so to me that's a slippery slope.
yeah. There are elements of that in it, especially with the people who they live their life off of that number, the likes. You know, there are people who wake up in the morning, take a picture of themselves, and if that picture doesn't reach a certain number, their day is ruined, and
Mm-hmm.
that is a real problem. That is what social media. I wouldn't say designed. It wasn't designed to do that, but it's definitely a huge factor of it, where it's got us all addicted, and it can affect our day. It can affect our mood. So that is, you know, I would say that whatever that is already down as a mental illness. But when it comes to social media, like what would be what would you do if you were to class it? Like, would you say people should be banned from it, or like?
Well, I mean, you're coming down a slippery slope because it's like, okay, so are you going to say that you were on TikTok 24 hours a day
Mhm,
and it made you do this or made you, I mean,
yeah,
to me, if you do that, you're giving people an excuse
yeah,
in that if they do something wrong,
yeah.
then I have the social media illness. I
I,
mean,
I think to kind of sum up why I feel about it is there are multiple things in life that do that to us, not just social media. There are other instances that will affect our moods and give us some of these mental illnesses. And I think, especially throughout the last 2 years, that there's a real crisis on our hands with the mental illness, the suicide rates going up. And just to drop him in the conversation, Green Sunrise, who I was with today, he's he's trying
I
to
like
make
him.
that his career. He's started a podcast about a year and a half ago. He's talking to people. Even today, we went for a dinner, and we're walking through the town, and he stops and talks to people. There's homeless people. He'll stop. He'll talk to them. There's this guy that there's a busker, and this busker's really good. Plays the guitar, awesome voice. But
What
there's this
what
guy,
I'm sorry, what is a busker?
like a someone who plays music in the town square.
Okay, like a street musician. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this busker is really good, but this guy has kind of jumped on with him. He'll dance in the background, and he's got no shame. He's funny, but he just like my friend Green Sunrise went up to him and says, "Can I interview you?" And he says, "Oh yeah, I've already been on other people's podcasts, and I just do it because it makes me happy. I want to dance because it makes me happy, and it kind of loses reality, you know." And I think people like Green Sunrise are just amazing, and we need more of them, and the government needs to invest in them. And I can tell you, I mean, I only know a little, but he's gone through the job career path where he's gone down to the local job center. He's registered himself as a company or as a charity, and
Hmm.
he's really trying, and there's not much help coming back. And it's such a shame.
So when you say
Because
not much help, are you talking about on the financial side or just period, just no
period,
support, period?
they'll,
Okay.
they'll tell him to go and do an online course, and
Okay.
obviously that's money, and he's unemployed, and he's trying to help people, and he is genuine about it. And I'm not saying that he's there yet, because I think you need to also offer like information, and he's just a really friendly, cheery guy that'll be able to talk to anyone. And what that will do for someone will work wonders. But then obviously there's follow-ups and what you can
Right.
do after that. So he's only on the beginning of his journey, but he's really good. I sat and had a chat with him on my podcast, and up until that point, I thought he was just winging it. He was just a cheery character that thought, I'll try this out. But from that conversation onwards, I was stunned at the amount of information that he knew, the way he was carrying himself. It's just it was more professional. And from then on, he's done his health coach diploma. He did it over the course of a few weeks online, and he's but as I say, with the last 2 years, and I'm not just in just the last 2 years, but in the last 2 years, it's skyrocketed with people being laid off their work. There's no opportunity to get back into their field, and lockdowns, being in a home, maybe being in a domestic abusive relationship, and you're stuck in your home because the government's telling you can't leave. All these problems are surfacing over the last 6-8 months, and it's a huge problem. And just to drop in, I even heard that Australia or New Zealand, now don't hold me to this, but it's definitely one of those two countries, have changed the word suicide to accidental death to cover up the fact that so many people are committing suicide.
Hmm. Well, one thing I want to say about Green Sunrise is when we had him on the show, not only do I really like that gray hair, I really like I really do like his gray hair. But he came across as a genuine person.
Oh yeah.
And I would actually like to have him on again to help promote him, but we try and promote our own show over here. But seriously, but I would like, seriously, because even when he was on the show Monday and he was, making the comments and stuff, he was saying things that were relevant. I mean, I think that he is serious. And it would be great if he had the support, not only financially, but also just, I'm gonna use his word, the emotional support and everything else that goes with starting something like that. Because trying to do things and get things going, especially when you're by yourself, it is hard. So my question is apparently in the UK and Australia, New Zealand, whomever, I know in America and I know in Canada, why do you think that when it comes to social issues, people are more invested, but the government isn't?
You're asking. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I think's done by design. And I know people might disagree, because there's a lot of people in the world that believe that the government are out to help us, and I think that is called Stockholm syndrome. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh yeah.
That's when basically when we lose our jobs, the government will give us, I think here in the UK, it's like every 2 weeks you get £150, which is nothing, but it's something. And it's things like that that make people believe that the government are here to help. And then obviously with the last 2 years, you get furlough pay from the government, and you get obviously they give you that. It makes it look as though they're out for our best interest. But I believe the government, or the shadow government at least, are polluting our system, polluting our worlds with decadence, just demoralization, the stuff that we see on our TVs, social media, the food, the water, the just everything. And that's why I laugh, because I know everyone's like, not everything's a conspiracy theory, but it really is. It honestly is. And I'll hold anyone to that. If you ask me about a subject, there will be a conspiracy theory behind it. Not to say that it's true, but there is a concerted effort by the government or others to make us all crazy and chaos and fight and all that, because it's easier to tear down a world or a city or a country when we're all distracted and we're all divided. It's easier to pass their laws. And this is why I bring it back to that people like me and you have got together. We completely disagree on a lot of things, but what we are doing, even just sitting here right now, and people watching, hopefully, will realize that we can sit here and not, turn off the computer and not talk to each other ever again, or call each other names and shout at each other. And yeah, we may disagree on certain things, but we can possibly get to the point where we agree on how to fix them. And that can be a joint effort. We can both identify issues, but the problem is how we fix them. And that's the part that most people will agree on. But the identifying is the part where we do disagree on. So I think it's something that the mental health in the world today, they're sitting there. I mean, obviously the money that it's bringing in, they're getting money for all these medicines. I hear it's worse in America. Every advert, every what do you call it? It's not adverts. You call it in between films and shows. There's
Commercial.
commercials. Every commercial seemingly in America is a new medicine.
Medicaid.
Big
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, you talk to the average person, I think it's more again still in America, but there is a huge problem here in the UK as well. You talk to the average person here and ask them, they're all taking at least 5 or 6 pills a day. One for your water retention, one for your mind, one for this, one for that. It's crazy. Like, and I think that obviously is the money. And if that's where you want to stop, if you just want to go, okay, it's the money, stop there, don't take it further. But I think you can take it further and realize it's beneficial for people to die. It's beneficial for people to be consistently going to the doctor and getting medicine that doesn't fix the problem, because otherwise why would you be having to go back? There's such a thing as a repeat prescription, which is crazy. Even that term, repeat prescription, shouldn't be repeated because it should fix you. And I know I'm being broad. I know.
Here we call it a refill.
Refill. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm actually going to agree with you. You do have a point, because when I very rarely sit down and watch a TV show live. I usually record it because I usually don't have time to do it. But when those commercials come on, I have to fast forward. Whatever, because it's funny when you see those commercials. They're like, oh, this pill is great, and it can make you live for 200 years and blah blah blah. But at the end it says, but it may cause this and it may cause this, and then they have like 10 things that it may cause, and I'm like laughing because it's like this wonder pill is supposed to do all of this, but it's causing all these side effects,
A lot of them cause suicidal side effects. They'll actually say that. I was on acne. I suffered bad with acne through my teens and early 20s, and I was put on this Roaccutane, and it was an 8-month course of tablets, and they were strong, and after about a month or so, your lips dry up, like, so they're sore all day, every day, and your skin gets all dry, so you have to keep putting on thing. And on the box, and it did come out later, in years later, that these tablets, they cause serious side effects like suicide. And I think most, or not most, I won't say most, but there are a lot of medicines out there that do say on the box, or you're warned that they do cause suicidal effects, because they're affecting your dopamine levels, your people. There's a lot of people in the UK are addicted to these uppers, and to get you feeling better, to get you feeling up and cheerful, and you can get them over the counter as well. So,
well, I have the perfect solution for acne.
okay,
and it works, and it's no pill.
okay.
So,
Oh yeah. Okay, we'll talk about it after.
it is no pill, but it
Yeah.
works. I know people blame the government, and this is where I stop short of blaming them. And here's my comment again: individual responsibility. So again, I do believe the government does have a hand in a lot of things, and the way, the world is being run, the way people are towards each other. But at the same time, I have to ask you, someone can tell you to do something, but somewhere your common sense has to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister's probably not going to like me for saying this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. We have conversations where my sister and I were raised to be, I'm going to use Kimberly Michaels' term. I'm not going to say independent, to be self-sufficient. And a lot of times when things are going on and we're talking about stuff, my sister will say, is it just us? Are we the only ones that get it? And we have that conversation a lot because for me, when does common sense click in? When does common sense for you not to go follow that person to do whatever? In high school, there were several occasions where some of my friends would laugh at me because I wouldn't go and do what they were going to do because I knew what my mother was going to do, and she found out that I did it. So I took my butt home. They got in trouble. So it's like, when does common sense click in with people? And that's why I say the government is not telling you to go next door and kill your neighbor or go do that drive-by or go, beat somebody to death or whatever. The government's not telling you that.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, common sense isn't that common nowadays, and I'm a victim of that. I don't have any common sense. I'm one of those guys you look at and you go, "How have you survived to your mid-30s?" I haven't burned a house down yet or anything like that with leaving a gas cooker on or whatever. But I would say I was pretty intelligent at school, but common sense was always, my family have always said, have you got any common sense? Because there's just none. But to answer your question, I'll use an example to back up why I always blame the government. And it doesn't mean to say the government are actively doing something to make us do this, but they are also not fixing the problem, or they're allowing the problem to happen. That's a lot of the issues. And I find myself, when you're talking or someone's talking, and I know you're going to ask that, it's in my mind to say it at the time, and I always forget to say it. But we'll use the example of, we both agree that our water, tap water, is, if you actually got that analysed, whether you're in America or the UK or anywhere, there is fluoride, there's
all kinds of crap.
There's all kinds of crap. Yeah. And I saw a very sobering video, and I've known about that for years. It's probably the very first conspiracy that you hear of. I think most people know that. But I saw a sobering video about 2 months ago. Someone put it into a Telegram group that I'm in, and this guy bought an industrialized water cleaner. It's a big, huge stainless steel box the size of a cooker or something. And he opened the lid, videoed, and watched as he put his hand in, pulled out gunk that was coming out of the water. It was like brown, disgusting.
Wait, this is after it went through the filter thing.
After it had gone through the filter. And even people are buying, and I was always going to buy one, but there are maybe a £2,000, £3,000 that you can fit to your kitchen sink, and it'll do it. But even the £2,000 one isn't as good as the £7,000 one. It's all about the tier system. And to me, that is the one that should wake. Like, I know this is going to come across as crazy, but when you know that, and you truly know that, you've tested it, you've seen it with your own eyes. My saying is, why are we not marching down to our local government or down to the main, the White House or the White House's Parliament, and just standing outside there until they fix our water?
Because I can answer that.
Okay.
The someone should is always, because everyone says someone should. Everybody's always waiting for someone else to do it, but no one wants to do it as a whole. Yeah. So, and that bugs me. That bugs me from just little stuff to what you're saying. Because again, I am a letter writer. I
Yeah.
have written letters. I've written 2 letters to Biden and Kamala Harris where I'm surprised the Secret Service has not been at my door. I'm serious. I am a
Yeah.
letter writer. I call people. I'm doing this. I'm trying to organize. There's just so many things that I'm doing. And it bothers me, and even going to the whole voting thing, but it's like, if you're going to complain about something, then you do have to be part of the process to get it fixed. And it's
Mhm.
always that person, this one mother who, she always used to do this when my son was going to brick and mortar school. Well, somebody should. One day I just turned to her and say, I said, why don't you should? Why don't you
Mhm.
should? Because she would always say somebody should, then she would look at me.
Mhm.
No, why don't you should? And I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. That why are people not marching down? Because they're waiting for you to do it or for somebody else to do it, and then they take advantage of the spoils.
Yeah.
So unless you get everybody to rally around.
Mhm. Because I always liken it back to, I mean, I was clearly, I wasn't born then or around then, but I look back at the 30s and 40s and 50s, and the men and women that were around in those times were
Well,
way
I
more.
wasn't around then. Scooter may have been around, but I wasn't around.
But those men and women wouldn't have stood for half the crap that we have stood for. And that's what bugs me. Like, we have been so polluted, our minds have been polluted, that we accept this stuff. And I'm not just the water, because not a lot of people know how in depth the water crisis is, but like things like, um I don't know, just things,
But
just.
look at the politicians that we have now, and I'm talking about all of them.
Mhm.
We already having politicians that come out, they lie, they
You were there.
oh boy, Scooter. And Scooter, if you would like to jump on, this may I mean, I think this would be a good if you want to jump on, I will send the link and it's up to you. But I mean, the way our world is being governed, the way
Mm.
our world is being run. I mean, the way, even with doctors, nurses, and we were talking about this on the healthcare. You got people taking kickbacks. This doctor will give you this pill if you give me this, and I won't say anything. And this person is doing this. Um, this is the world we live in, and they wonder why we're like this.
Yeah.
So I mean, the teachers are doing this, and the mail carriers are hiding mail because they don't feel like delivering it. Then you find that half your mail, 2 years worth, sitting in somebody's garage. I mean, it's just crazy. It is just crazy.
See, the government,
So
a lot of people don't realize it, but well, it wasn't me, but we put the government there. They are working for us, or they should be. And to me, even down to the division that's caused, what's happened in the last couple of weeks, or what happened in the summer of 2020, and what happened, all these division, the government to me look as if they're the ones sitting on top of the hill looking down, going, look at them arguing. They're not interacting, they're not sorting the problem. They're throwing a grenade in and leaving the room. And that's literally what they're doing.
yeah,
um
they are.
and,
They
and
are.
that's why, like, going back to my original statement, when you say about blaming the government all the time and individual responsibility, in some instances, of course, yeah. I mean, like, look at the water. You can have individual responsibility and do what Jester does, or do what the preppers do, and go get a tank of water and get your own water and fix it and clean it. But why should we? Like, I know that's lazy talk, but at the same time, we're paying taxes. See, if we weren't paying taxes, a lot of people would be more self sufficient because they would have the money to do
Well,
so.
I do believe that everybody should just for one time just
Mm.
not pay taxes. And considering, no, I mean, no, because I mean, here in America is April 15th or whatever that Monday is, whatever, when your taxes are supposed to be filed.
Yeah.
You can file an extension that will give you an extension, I think, until August or October. I'm not sure which. But by the time everyone did not file,
Mm.
if the government saw that usually by February 1st, people are filing because they're getting their W-2s back or whatever, and they're sending them in. They're going to know between that first part of the quarter that taxes are not being filed, because they're like, well, we haven't gotten any forms.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten anything. What is going on? And I think if enough people did that, then yes, you would see. But at the same time, with the individual responsibility,
Mhm.
People do have to be accountable for their actions. And what a lot of people want to do is they want to blame someone else for the reason. I mean, because I've even done it. I mean, we've all done it. We've all blamed somebody else for doing something. But now it's just gotten to the point where I didn't do this because this person said this, or I didn't do this because of this, this, and this, and this. Come on.
Yeah.
So
So then, going with that comment, I'm interested to know. I think I know what the answer is, but do you see any benefit of lesser government? Like obviously, I've talked a little bit before about my
yes.
belief that I'm an anarchist, and I know to some people that sounds like I think, oh, no laws, no rules, people running about crazy. That's not what I believe. I believe rules with it, like, to sum it up, you'll have all seen the anarchist symbol, which is the circle and the A, and it's actually the one that's the A is inside the circle, but there's also one that they've drawn where the A comes through the circle, and that's the wrong one. There's like, it's a demonization of the word, and then you see it in films. There's this Netflix show that I watched called This Society, and it was only season one, I believe, and then COVID hit, and they haven't been able to do another one. But I watched it, and I was so mad while I was watching it, because it's basically turning you away from anarchy, saying that humans would just eat each other and kill each other, and that's not the case. I think everyone at birth could have been given, let's say, an acre of land and a house, and grow your own fruit and veg, and not have to pay as much taxes. Like, I agree that there might have to be some taxes paid into the system to cover the roads, but if you have 100% of your take home, you can do things with it. You can pay for your healthcare. You can pay for the police if you need them, not when you don't need them. So I think privatization is good, but I'm just interested. Like, do you think government is a good thing? It was a good invention, or are you open to anything that I've just said?
I think government was a good invention. We'll use that word, if it was used properly. I don't necessarily trust private things, because even those people get too much power, and then they start acting like dictators and what have you. So I think the private thing, I think we've seen that in many occasions, where when you start to privatize stuff, they take advantage. Next thing you know, money is not being spent where it is supposed to be spent. At least in government, somewhat you have some paper trail, whatever. But when it's private, they don't necessarily have to tell you things. But I do believe that if government was set up the way it was intended, because right now, the way, at least to me in America, our government is not doing what it is supposed to do. It just isn't, and everybody knows it. So I don't know. I mean, are we gonna get to the point where we overthrow kings, queens, senators, and governors and what have you, and then we just start fighting in the street and we start eating each other? Because that seems like that's the road that we're taking.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, I will be one of those prepping people who just lock myself up in my house and just not go out, because it's just going to be too dangerous. I mean, you go to the store, somebody's going to knock you upside the head for a loaf of bread. I mean, it's just really getting bad, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. I genuinely think in our lifetime that we'll see an alternative to government. I think world government will change. I think the Queen that is in England right now, the Queen of England, I think she could be the last monarch here. I think they'll revamp the system. I know the whole New World Order, one world government theory, but it could be. A lot of people believe the UN or the WHO, the WEF, those types
Mhm.
of organizations, one of them will prevail. My mindset is on the UN. I think the UN will be the highest power in the world, and then we'll all report to them. They'll give us what we need and quote us and things like that. And then on the local level, it'll be you guys have already got the system in place with mayors. I think they'll be the highest
Mhm.
level mayors, and in the UK we do have kind of, you could call them states. It's counties here. So
Mhm.
we've got, like, Scotland's made up of probably about 4 or 5 counties: Grampian, Lanarkshire. There are, but they're not really. No one really uses them other than saying, what area you're in. But it's like cities and towns here, so it's not like you guys with your states. But we could implement that and have like we call them MPs. You call them mayors. We've got MPs for a constituency or whatever. So I think that could come, and I wouldn't be surprised if the whole demonization of Prince Andrew and also the Queen with Harry and Meghan, the comment about the
Mhm.
baby, racist comment from the Queen. And people have always, you'll get your lovers of the Queen, people that'll follow her everywhere. And I mean, my granny and her friend will take a drive to go and see her when she comes up to Scotland and see if they can catch a glimpse. But I would say it's probably divided. Maybe 60-70% are against the monarchy and 30% are probably for it. And I would think most people would be open to a revamp of the way things are. So yeah,
Well, can we go back to the whole babies born bad thing?
yeah,
Okay, so um, and I do this all the time, and I've had people say, "Don't, don't do that. That just sounds bad." But that's the only analogy that I have is comparing a child to a dog. Because because my purpose is for the DNA thing. Okay, so let me ask this: do you believe that there are some animals that you're just not able to train for whatever reason? You just cannot train this particular animal, or this. I'm gonna use the word dog. You just cannot train this dog. No matter what you do, you just cannot
all
train
right.
it.
I think you can train them all. I mean, if someone can train a tiger, you can train any dog.
Okay, all right. So,
Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. I don't. I think you know you probably could train any animal, like a squirrel. People train pigeons, parrots. Like, there's all animals in the world. I'm sure there's, someone's trained it if you put the effort in.
but do you think that that animal can pick up in their DNA, like if I'm just going to use mental illness, if
Mhm,
whatever, if your mother or father or grandfather, whatever, had
mhm.
um, schizophrenia,
Yeah.
okay, do you think that can be passed on? So
Uh,
so do you think do you think that somewhere along the line that, yeah, okay, for instance, and please, 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 no offense to deaf people, please, I'm not, I'm no offense, please.
mm,
Why are some people born deaf? Is it just the way they were developed in the womb?
mm,
Or what if they did have a grandmother or great grandmother or great grandfather who was deaf? Why do some people have twins and other people don't? I mean,
yeah.
so what I'm saying is it possible that bad DNA could
Yeah.
get passed down to this animal and therefore they're acting this way, or get passed down to this child and they're acting this way?
Yeah, but I think the difference with well, definitely with that one is the behavior versus the disability. Like, I wouldn't lump in
Okay,
someone that's schizophrenic from birth or has a mental illness that
you're
they,
right, with death or something like that.
yeah.
You're right. Okay,
But
you're
like,
right.
I also was gonna say about the dog thing. Like, there are breeds of dogs out there that are there's something in their DNA that makes them want to be wild, like out in the wild, like the wolf dogs, maybe even the husky. I don't know because I don't know enough, but there are maybe dogs that their ancestors were hunters and should be out in the wild, and you've trained them, but there's always that testosterone level or something there that they want to break free of the because there's a lot
Well,
of people.
okay, but what about, like, there are some people who would give dogs, which I think is so incredibly cruel, would give them gunpowder to make them mean, especially if they were fighting dogs. And I think that to me, if you feed an animal something, and again, just like what we were saying about food being sprayed and pesticides and stuff like this, if you're giving an animal something that's not good for them because you're trying to change their behavior so they'll do this or this, then it's already in their system. So if this dog mates with another dog, isn't it a possibility that they're passing that on? So that's what I'm saying with people born bad. I don't believe that all children come out. I just don't. I think that some people are just born bad.
Yeah,
They just are.
maybe here's where I realize that I've not been right, because I do think that things like if the mother was a drug abuser whilst carrying, that can affect the child. But I also will defend what I'm saying by saying if that child comes out in any way deformed or wired up wrong, like with its genetics and its DNA, and has, I don't know what you would call this, and I don't want to be offensive, but there are some kids in school that they're slow. They're
Mm-hmm.
not disabled in any way, but they're slow. They're not wired up right. They're just
They don't learn as fast as others.
challenged,
Okay.
and I don't know if that's is that a medical thing that they have to take medicine for, or or is it just that their brain is being affected by domestic abuse or drug abuse or drink abuse? That is different. I know it sounds if I'm backtracking, but I wouldn't lump them in with people who then become, if those people then become serial killers or domestic abusers, then that's obvious to me that it's because of that, or also because of other varying issues, like they've maybe seen it. But would I say that was they were born bad?
Well,
I mean,
okay. Why do you have kids who are they're just bad? And I don't mean that they get into things and they're, just, whatever, just the normal toddler stuff, whatever. I'm talking about, you have some kids that literally are just bad. You have
yeah,
kids where, they have even said that, they don't want this child around another child,
yeah,
or, they, Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, when he was little, he was killing animals and he's killing
yeah,
insects and stuff like
so,
that. So to
no,
me,
yeah,
that's just bad. That's
yeah.
just evil.
But to me, those are the ones I'm talking about. Like, and I know one. Like when I was little, my mum was friends with her best friend had two sons, and one of them was like that. He was very boisterous, ADHD. He would have been the type of guy and I mean, I was probably 8 or 9, and he was maybe 10, and he would have been the type to get a cat and pull its tail, or whatever, like, and do evil things, like, and you could just tell. And he did have a life of medication. He went into a mental institution and things like that. And that's where the born bad thing, I here, maybe I am backtracking, but I think it's things that have been affected, like when that boy was in his mum's womb, there was some trauma. I don't think that they can be, see when he was born, that boy, or a person that's like that, they're born that way, but it's there's they're wired up wrong and all that. And I wouldn't say that that's, I don't know. Maybe I'll,
No. It is tough. It's a tough thing, And Scotty Graham says, by the way, welcome. You have to look to the parents for those answers.
yeah,
But if a child, again, I think some children are just born bad. So if a child is just born bad, what are we looking to the parents for? I mean, I can understand if your child is bad because you just don't discipline, or you're not doing this, or you're coming home at night and you're drinking and smoking weed or whatever, and I mean, I get that, but I'm just saying that there are some kids that are just mean. I mean, just mean. And I'm not talking about the bully at school because they're having issues at home. I'm talking about there are some people who are just mean.
Yeah.
And Tim says we can hand feed my local wild squirrels.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I know of people. I personally know people who have been born, and the doctor before they were born had said to the mum and father that it was actually triplets, and the doctor identified that all three had their genes mixed, and that they were going to come out mixed up. And
when you say mixed up, you're saying that they're going to come out deformed, or
no? All three of them have ended up homosexual. All three, 2 guys and a girl. So that, I mean, there are things that I wouldn't be closed-minded to say that how they are in the womb, what the intake from the mother is, if it's drugs, alcohol, or even foods that we're eating. We've already discussed on this show, like the stuff that they're putting in our foods, can affect people. Being in a car accident, falling while pregnant, things like that. I'm no expert. I'm just saying that these are things that I'm definitely open to, that they can affect, even when they're in the womb, on how the baby comes out. And if that stands the baby in bad stead, where they're going to grow up to be a serial killer or just evil and not act on it, then I'm open to that for sure. But I'm also open to that. I think because I also think the people that I've just described are in the minority. I don't think there's many, but I think the majority of people who grow up with domestic abusing, like for instance, if a man's beating his wife all the time, chances are, if you ask that guy and sit him down and say, how was your childhood, his dad beat the mom or the mom beat the dad, and they just think it's normal behavior, or they can't handle it, like, or they were beaten as a kid, or I beaten, and it's learned behavior. A lot of it is learned, because otherwise, how would you know to do that thing?
Right.
And this is a big argument for why America tells us the names of the killers and has a big thing about them, which sensationalizes them. And a lot of people that are idiots are watching going, ooh, that could be me one day, like, we shouldn't maybe do that. And I'm all for that as well, because it's putting their names in lights. And so there are people out there that will look at that and be, that could be me. I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Well, let me ask this. I'm going to take the conversation a different way, because on one of my shows this past week, we were disagreeing and pushing back. I don't think you and I necessarily, but there was a lot of chatter going on in the chat and what have you. So the people, the family of serial killers and murderers and all these people who did all these nasty things, should we feel sorry for them? That's where the whole empathy, sympathy, emotional thing. I mean, should we feel sorry or empathetic?
I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but I've said it quite a lot. I'm open to having a conversation. Now, I've never had that conversation, so I might be wrong. Someone might be able to shoot me down in flames and say that's wrong. But I'm open to, and this is just me, I've never heard this, but I'm open to punishing parents for certain crimes that the children do, whether they're 50, 60 years of age and the child is 20, 30 years of age. I'm all for fining them or putting them to jail as well for certain crimes, because I think that would breed, parents would then be parents. They would realize we have to be parents now. We can't just let our son or daughter be brought up by the state and throw them in front of an iPad or TV.
Well,
And
I do know that one of the shootings that we've had, I can't even keep up with them anymore. Where the boy went and killed some of his classmates. His parents knew that he took a gun to school that day, and if I'm correct, the parents were arrested. I don't know if they're still in jail, but that was something new. So, but how can you trace something back to say? I mean, but again, that could backfire because, like we were talking, how can you have two people grew up in the same household, loving parents? They did this, they hugged, they kissed, they disciplined, they did everything right. But you have one kid that went this way and the other kid that went that way. And the one that went that way is the one that turned out to be the murderer, the rapist, the serial killer. How do you come back to the parents and say, I blame you when,
Again, you're right. If there's no way of proving it, I don't know. That's why I'm saying this could be, you could have a whole show on that, because it's subjective, and it's also how you're going to prove it. How are you going to prove that the parents weren't the best parents ever? Right. But my mindset, and this is, this will kind of sum up my mindset, is I do think there is a perfect way to bring up, not a perfect, but a damn near perfect way to bring up your child and know that they're never ever going to take drugs and never ever going to.
But Baa, you can't say that because
I do.
No, because when your kid is away from you, especially when they move out of the house, they go away to school, whatever, they're going to be around other kids or other people who are doing this, and this, and you don't know. They may say something, say, "Oh, come on, Baa, come on, you can smoke this. This is no, my parents always tell me, oh," and then you look around and you see that everybody else is like, woohoo, having fun, and you're gonna say, "Okay, let me hit that just a little bit." You don't know that. I mean, seriously, because there are some things that that my son has done. I'm like, seriously. So you can't say that. And before you go on, does anyone? I'm going to put the link into the chat here. If anybody, we welcome people who are listening. If you would like to come up, you are welcome to come up. We have space for 3 or 4 people, so just be respectful, please. Let's see. And Tim says 100% a child can be born bad. Ask Jester for some stories, and I've gone through it as well. I've heard some of Jester's stories. Yeah. So, but anyway, go ahead and tell me about this perfect child that you're raising. I mean,
I'm not, like I say, I don't think it's a perfect, but I think they're a damn near or close to where you can be so confident that your kid, or this is going to sound awful as well, but please don't take offense, because I've got nothing against any of the LGBT community at all. But I think there's unless your kid is what I've just mentioned earlier about the people I know that were born with our genes mixed, unless it's something like that, I believe wholeheartedly that there is a way to bring up your son or daughter and know that they won't become an LGBTQ. I know there's a way that you can bring them up that they won't go serial killing. There are ways, and I know when I say those things, even like the wife, she like, what if we had a child and they turned out to be gay? And I'd be like, well, I'd love it all the same, but I know it wouldn't happen. And people, when you say that, they'll get, oh, what do you mean by that? Do you not would you not love it if it's like, no, I'm not saying that, and there's nothing against it. But if you bring a child into the world and you have a mother and father that love each other and get on well and sit down at nights and do its homework with the kid and entertain the kid, take the kid away on holiday, show it that is normal, I don't believe that they.
But you have people who have grown up like this, and their children turn out to be gay. You do.
Not that way. I don't think there's. I don't think that way with perfect, like, and I know there's no such thing as perfect, but two parents who love each other with a kid that. And hey, we even mentioned it on a previous show, some of the foods like the soy and stuff, the feminization of that as well. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's getting harder and harder, but one day back in we were able to bring up kids, and you knew because they saw the mother and father loving each other.
Okay,
Marriage
but
was
how do you okay, but then again, back then, you also had people who and a lot of things you just didn't say. You just didn't say if your child was this. You just didn't say, if a girl got knocked up, next thing you know that she was off visiting her aunt for the summer. When everybody knew she got knocked up. So I mean, back then there were just a lot of things that you just didn't see. And this is what Tim says. It's proven there is a serial killer gene. So so I mean, I'm just saying that there's no you cannot you can raise your child to do this, think this, whatever, but when they get older or when they get around outside people and you're not around your child all the time, especially when they get into high school, when they're out doing things where they're not just going to school and coming home, they are
yeah.
going to be maybe doing baseball or
See if you
football or whatever, and they're around these other people.
if you sat your child down all throughout the child's life and explained what's right and wrong, like I've not been an angel, but I've not done some of the things that, like maybe like I mentioned the other night about the life I've had, the things I've gone through. It's a wonder sometimes I look back and go, it's a wonder I didn't turn to drink or drugs or do something crazy. And that I put down to my grandparents. They consistently used to tell me, do what you know what's right, Ian. You know what's right, and putting morals into me and making me, even down to like always look left when you cross the road, look right, things like that. That when you're young and you realize in someone an adult sitting and taking the time to talk to you when you're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and you feel an adult, you feel important, you feel like you're worthy and you're loved, and if anything happened to you, your mom and dad or your grandparents would be devastated. And there's a lot of children in the world that don't feel that. They don't feel that if anything happened to them, that anyone would care. They're not being given moral guidance. They're just being slapped in front of a TV and seeing their mom or their dad dating multiple women, multiple men, and thinking that's normal behavior. And when you talk like that, even that comment right there could piss some people off. Go, what you're saying because I've got 4 kids to 4 different dads, or that I'm not normal. Like, I'm not saying that. We've
No,
all
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but by again, I'm just saying that you have those people, and I'm going to give you an example. And yeah, Scooter, we know Ba is not an angel. So, um, okay, so when I did the one show that is actually one of my favorite shows is the one that I did about sin. Why does sin taste so good? And my my thing is this, and I started the show with saying something that my son did. When my son was in second grade, first and second grade, he used to hang around this one little boy. There's always that one little kid, and Bob, when you have kids, I'm telling you, you're going to go through it, and I know all parents have gone through it. There's always that one kid in class that you can't stand. There's always that one. And my son always wanted to play with this one kid. Not going to say what his name is. He could be listening one day. And I would say, why don't you go play with so and so? Or why don't you go play with them? They're nice. Or why don't you play with them? And my son looked me dead in my eye. He was in second grade, said, because he's fun. And that is something that has stuck with me because I realized that even when I was growing up, there were some people that I hung around with because they were fun. They did everything wrong. They did went against everything that I knew was right, wrong, whatever. And I told him, I said, okay. I said, because this fun kid, one day, don't let him get you into trouble.
yeah,
You need to make sure this and this, this. And this little boy was always getting it. He was always just doing something that was just wrong.
yeah,
And he grew up, and this kid has had some issues. He's been in and out of jail, whatever. Grew up with his grandparents. One of them was in the military. Always told him, you have to do this and this and this. But this kid was doing something else. But the fact that my son said, because he's fun, So your child is going to be around people who they don't necessarily think that they're doing anything bad, but it's fun. Why do the guys why do the girls want to date the bad boys? Why do the boys want to date the girls who may give them some? I mean, so your kids are going to be around people where you're not going to be there. So I'm just saying.
See that kid that's fun. That unless that kid is what we just already discussed, maybe wired up wrong, something wrong with the birth, whatever. If that kid is just normal, well, I don't know how to explain it, but then that those parents of that kid are allowing him to be mischievous, and that's the part where I believe the learned behavior.
If your perfect child goes to school and he's not around you and he's doing things he's not supposed to, you're not allowing him to do anything. He's doing it on his own.
So do you not think you can train, if you will? I know that's getting into the dog thing, but you think you can train your kid to behave when not in your company?
Yes. But at the same time, it interests me when people say, "Oh, you can pet my dog," or he's really nice or whatever. It's like, but he's still a dog, and he still could snap or whatever. And when your child is not around you, you can train them to do a certain thing, but if they are around those fun people, they may snap. So, Tuttles, welcome. I'm assuming your camera is off because you want your camera off, but you can turn it on if you want to. I don't know if you were having some camera issues, but welcome. What would you like to say?
Tuttles, are you there?
And you know what, Tuttles? I'm not even seeing internet. I don't see any bars, so you may want to go out and come back in because I'm not seeing that you have internet. That was the same problem the shy lady was having the other day.
Yeah. Try your 4G or 5G, whatever you've got. Maybe come off the internet.
Yeah. Come off your Wi-Fi and just do on your phone, or if you can switch over to a laptop.
Yeah.
And I will put the link in here again, just in case. It should be the same one, but I'll put it here again. There we go.
So while we're waiting for Tuttles,
I'm sorry, I'm reading what Scooter said. Puddles. Oh, Scooter, you just make me laugh. Make me laugh.
I was just going to say, while we're waiting for Tuttles, do you want to make any comments about previous shows we've done since we did the last recap show, and also we can tell the listeners what we've got planned for the month of July?
If you want to recap the last show, we can.
We don't have to get into it. Just we did our recap, but I mean, have you changed your mind on what your favorite show was? With remembering that we have Scooter in the chat.
I know we have Scooter in the chat and Tuttles again. I know you're here, but Scooter's show is still still my favorite show. It's still my favorite show, and the transgender show. That's my number two. Mm-hmm. That's my number two. Even though I will say that last week's show, that even though we went 3 hours on that show, I mean it talked about a lot, but I don't know. I mean with Scooter, I mean that was a fun show. I mean we got serious, but it was lighthearted, but I just liked that show.
Yeah.
So Tuttles, again, we see you're here, but we don't see those bars. You don't have internet. Let me see something. Can I help you out here? Well, let's see. He has yep, your internet is not on. And then your camera is off. Camera on. Yeah. Oh, thank you. This is what Scooter says. I love that show too. Thank you, Solid and Bob. I did. I did. So let's talk about what is coming up because
Yeah.
Tuesday I should be here. I plan on being here. We are doing a pre-recorded show on the family unit, and we're going to have Chill and Crucible for sure. Um, Tim, I'm not sure what's wrong either. Um, we had this problem a little bit when you were on the show before, and I can't remember what you did. Are you on your phone or are you on your computer?
Mhm.
Because I can't remember what you did, but when you switched over, it seemed like to your computer, that's when everything was better.
Yeah, because remember on last Saturday's show, there was people in the chat. Was it Margaret and Marcy?
Hmm.
Two of them couldn't get on, and we wondered if it was the phone that they had
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. So because they were saying they were on on an Android as opposed to an iPhone. So yes, we did. Yes, on my phone, I'm cooking dinner. Always cooking dinner. Well, that's okay. So if you want to jump on later on your computer, if you can get to that, well then that is fine. And now I'm gonna have to start calling you Puddles because Scooter is calling you Puddles. But yeah. So and then on the let me look at my calendar because I'm confused.
So we're hoping that Caps will be able to join us as well. Is it? Is it? Or is
Yes,
it?
we want Caps. We've been trying to get Caps on, but he hasn't. I mean, he replied to some emails, but he hasn't replied in terms of confirming anything.
Yeah.
Okay, then on the 9th, we have
The ninth, we have Wolf and Bull podcast, who I did a swap cast with for Baram U. Uh, Last Saturday, we talked about chemtrails. I've just connected with them over the last couple of months, and I've been listening to their stuff. And we got together, did a show together, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think they've got really good voices, and it's a father-in-law son duo, and they've done about 52 episodes. So we've asked them to come on, and their previous episode before they came on with me, they did a show on the death of the mainstream media. And I think it's a topic that we probably would have covered at some point on Friendly Differences. So let's just do it. So that's the 9th,
and
same time, 12 noon Pacific time,
on
8
the 16th. I'm sorry, and 8 p.m.
UK time.
UK time. Okay, and
And
then
then,
on the 16th
yeah, the
we
6th,
have.
I'm going to try and do the abortion show.
Wait, hold on. I thought the 23rd was the abortion show.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could do. I think actually you're right. I think we should do the 23rd. It'll give us more research time. We're
Okay.
gonna have Michael Key on that, obviously, because Michael Key is all
He
about abortion.
he is all about, yeah, he's on this abortion thing. And then on the 16th, we're supposed to have the other green people, the other green, not green sunrise, green sunset, green. Who did you
Mhm.
do a show with? You did a show with them.
Oh, you're about Strange Brew.
Straight, yes. I don't know why I'm calling them green. Straight.
So the guy from Strange Brew is the one that
Okay,
wants to be
okay.
on the abortion show.
Okay. I'm
So
looking. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt again, but I'm looking at Scooter's saying I love you, Puddles, but he's using black hearts. I think
yeah,
that's funny. Is there some
so
symbolism there?
yeah.
So
So we've got Doctor, no, Reverend Kaiju, who that's his alias from Strange Brew. He's going to come on the abortion show. So is it going to be me, you, Kaiju, Michael Key, and did you say Shy Lady or just us?
shy lady does want
She
to
does want to
come
come on. She's always
on
said
to
she
that
wanted to come on
show.
that show, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
Well, who else I would like to invite on that show? I would
Yeah.
like to invite Reagan.
Okay.
From transgender because we're hearing a lot of how I don't know how I need to go back and read up why people are saying this, but
Yeah.
um how Roe versus Wade is going to affect the
Yeah.
LGBTQ, and I'm not understanding. So if Reagan wants to come on, because I thought she was a good guest, that
Yeah.
to get another point of view from another group.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've heard that too. So yeah, definitely, and it'll be good to have her back on. So
yeah.
that's pretty
So
much the month of July.
well,
We
no,
do have a spare
because we
weekend.
still have to. So who are we doing on the 16th?
Well, I've got a list down here. I must have wrote from last time. We've got Prison. We've got a show with Prison. Socialism versus capitalism versus. I
Well,
think
you
we'll
know
leave
what? Why
that.
don't we? You know what? Why don't we do our disability show on the 16th?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
no, wasn't it going to be a show about relationships with Savage and? Yeah, we could do that. We'll work on
Okay.
that.
Okay, guys, we will. Don't worry, we will have it figured out. Ever since Baa came back from holiday, we're like, well, weren't we supposed to do this? Were we supposed? So
Yeah.
we're still trying to get it together. So we'll get the month of July together
Yeah.
by August 1st. So
Mhm.
we will get it together. We will get
Yeah.
it together. So, well, Tim, I'm sorry you weren't able to come on, or Puddles. I'm sorry you weren't able to come on.
Mm.
But I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it helped me get me out of my little funk that I was in. So after this, I'm gonna leave town for a couple of days and go visit a friend in need who is asking for my help. So
Okay.
So on that note, guys, I mean, anything else or?
No, I think as you say, I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the conversation. It beats, we have had a crazy week. We do battle back and forth, but this week in particular, there's been a couple of instances, and I don't like it, but I do think it's good. I think sometimes we should just probably just say, right, stop it, let's jump on Melon, or let's wait till Saturday, or let's do a show, and because it's better.
That's what we did this week. We were like,
Yeah.
let's jump on Melon. So guys, just so you know, when Baa and I are like going at it,
Yeah,
we're still here.
Yeah.
Okay, and be safe, Solid. Nice to see you. Bye 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 bye. Always great to hear your opinions on stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. Oh, and Tuttles, I'm going to be reaching out to you on Friendly Differences because I have a question for you, and I know he probably also has the same question, but I'll reach out to you. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's it. Thank you for hanging out with us on a Saturday and making us feel like we have viewers. Thank you. Thank you. And anyone, please follow us on TikTok on let me put it in the chat.
I mean, I'm still happy with the way it's going. 320 odd followers on TikTok in the space of a month and a half.
Yeah,
it is
but
good
at
going.
the same time, I mean, it is. But at the same time, yesterday when I did my show on TikTok, that was hard. It was hard because I guess I was also trying to do it like I'm on Podbean, and then I realized I can't do it like that.
Yeah.
But the format that they have is like you're on TikTok unless someone is there with you.
Well, I was going to say to you, you should reach out to either Jester or Michael Key, who are always on there doing lives anyway, and get them to sit and then they'll bring their listeners over, and you can maybe get something going, and then they can jump off and they'll leave you with people that could call in, because obviously the 1,000 rule, the 1,000 follower rule, you're going to have to, I dare say that people who tuned into you last night maybe didn't have the 1,000 clearly,
one person did, but she said that she wasn't able to jump on. But I mean, but not only that, it's just the format on TikTok is just different because literally when I was replying to stuff.
It's moving all the time.
It's moving up, and then I'm like, and then you're replying. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like,
and also there's a limited character. So if you noticed, a lot of the time I would try and finish it, or else I would delete and just do ... and then quickly try and post the next bit. So they were together.
Yeah, I mean, the format. I mean, I don't. I think on that level, if you for live shows, I think TikTok needs to change how they're doing stuff because, and that's another reason why I like Podbean, where people can jump on because things get lost in translation when you're trying to type.
Yeah.
You know, because even when now, even though I know a lot of the people who are there, when I'm looking at the chat, I'm reading like, then you read it again, you're like, what are you talking about? You know, so yeah. But again, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us on a Saturday. I know this for some people, this is a holiday for you. So enjoy the rest of your
Oh,
day.
can I just add to people? I'm starting night shift on Monday night for 2 weeks, so I'll be able to sample the night shift guys on Podbean. So get your best shows ready for the next 2 weeks, so that I'll be listening.
Something tells me he'll be on Podbean, but at the same time he'll be spending a lot of time on TikTok too.
Yeah, yeah.
So you want to close it out since you were taking lead?
Yeah, just to echo what Solid said, thank you to Scooter and Tuddles, or Puddles as we'll now call him.
And we also had Scotty Graham. He was also here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks for participating and commenting and things, and we always appreciate you. And again, thanks to you, Solid, for taking the time out and having these chats that I just love. Like, the more and more we do them, I enjoy. And in fact, do you know something? I don't know if I said the last time when we asked each other what our favorite show is, but I really enjoyed the one where you asked me pretty much the whole hour and a half about my conspiratorial beliefs. I had on the white T-shirt, and
I remember.
that was the one where you mentioned about Trump and the Antichrist. But I think I watched that one back about a month ago, and I really enjoyed that one. Obviously, I'm being biased because it's about something that I like, but I think getting to know each other more, because I still feel this week that a couple of times where I've been in the chat and not on the panel, when I'm criticizing something you've said or we've had a disagreement, that not only you but other people in the show will think, Jesus, Solid and Baa are really going at it, but it's not that at all. Like, if people know, I'm sitting there like this, plain face, just going, no, well, that's not. I'm not going, you know.
Well, and see, and that's why, and on that, and I remember that show because that's when we got on Melon, and that's when, again, when you're chatting, things get lost in translation as opposed to when you're up and about. That's why I'm really wanting us to get those 1,000 followers on TikTok, so the two of us, you know, I can use my account, you can use your account, and the two of us can talk, and people can see how we relate to each other, you know, whatever. So because some people just say, man, you all were really going at it. I'm like, no. So yeah. So
anyway, guys, tune in next Saturday for the show. Well, sorry, are we doing the show with the family unit live or just pre-recorded?
That's going to be a pre-recorded show.
Okay, so Tuesday is pre-recorded. Next Saturday, Saturday the 9th will be the next show that you can tune into us, which will be on the death of the mainstream media. So tune in for that, guys.
With Wolf and Bull.
Wolf and Bull. Okay. So until then, guys, thanks, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.